Bob, it's good to have you back. Senator Grassley, when you were on this committee and were the only member of this committee that at that time that when Bob was the top gun for President Dole, or pardon me, Senator Dole, and during those days, I was in the House, and whenever I would have a question that really pertained that I thought I could take the time of Senator Dole, he would always say, "See Bob." So it's good to see you back, sir. I think that I had a sanitary and phytosanitary question and a WTO question, and I think Senator Wyden put it very well. Senator Wyden gets a little wound up, but he was born in Wichita. He's a good guy. But he said real progress on the ground and was talking about jobs and to continue these tariffs. But there's tariff retaliation. There's also price recovery with regards to farm country. We're still 50% off from last year, for goodness sakes, in terms of farm income, farm revenue. We're still in a very bad way. And so there's a lot of feeling out in farm country, more especially, and you know this, forwards and backwards. But what I want to ask is, over the last 2 years, the administration has focused on bilateral trade agreements. The United States has stepped away from major multilateral agreements, including the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That's still very popular out in farm country. If we would, hitch our wagon there, especially as it relates to the WTO agreement on SPS measures, do you see room for multilateral agreements to advance the U.S. trade agenda and improve market access? And I think you and I just visited about a particular country that we think we ought to really focus on as opposed to the TPP, which might be a little bit big to swallow right now.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you, Senator. So I would say, first of all, the President is very focused on what's happening in farm country, as you know well. And we've seen an unfortunate decline in farm income with some bumps of basic decline for a long period of time, and it's something that has to be reversed. And you're right, there has been retaliation that has had a negative effect in farm country. But I always point out that, particularly with respect to China, no one has a bigger upside than opening up China than agriculture. We sell them in a normal year $18 or $19 billion worth of product, less last year for a variety of reasons. But they import a lot of goods from a lot of other places that they ought to be importing for the United States. So it's a big, big upside for agriculture generally, and it's something we're focused on. On the question of TPP, as you know, we are in the process of negotiating with Japan. I always tell people that there are 11 countries in TPP. We have FTAs with 6 of them. With respect to the other 5, 90%, 95% of the GDP is Japan. So if we can get an agreement with Japan that's a good agreement, that will go a long way towards having essentially the same effect as being in TPP. Personally, I didn't like TPP for a lot of the same reasons the President didn't, but I won't go into those now unless another member asks us to do it. We are still, so I want to move forward on Japan, and I think that's really important for farmers. It's also important that we have a deal, if we can get a good deal with China, because that will open up a lot of agriculture sales, but also we're focusing, as you know well, very much on SPS issues and impediments to trade, across the board impediments to trade, of which there are a lot, but particularly in China. We're also spending a lot of time at the WTO working on these issues. This is one of those areas where you're in a committee and you're doing the actual day-to-day work. So it is a major focus of our activity. If we end up with a deal on China, if we end up with a deal, at least an agricultural deal at an early time with Japan, I think there's a bright light on the horizon for agriculture, and that certainly is our objective, all while we're trying to take care of these SPS issues, which we do sort of one at a time, sometimes a little bit like peeling an onion, but one at a time. So, and the SPS issues, I should say, have been a major focus of as you know well, of our discussions with China. We have gone through a whole lot of their various, I don't want to say schemes, but processes that keep U.S. agricultural product and other agricultural products out.
I appreciate your answer. I yield back.